Hey everyone! Today, we have a bombshell to discuss about our beloved Washington Commanders. If you, like me, have been anxiously following every game, you've probably noticed that despite some positive results, there's still a lot that needs improvement. Today I'm going to talk about 3 changes that the Commanders coaching staff urgently needs to consider for the next matchup, which will be against the Cincinnati Bengals. There's a lot of important stuff to discuss, so stick with me until the end because this analysis could define the course of our season. And of course, if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, because all the content here is designed for those of us who love this team. Look, we can't overlook kicker Austin Seibert's record, who was the standout of the last game against the New York Giants. The guy nailed 7 field goals and helped Washington improve to 1-1 for the season and 1-0 in the division. A win is always good, but the truth is that many fans, and I include myself in this, are still skeptical about the team's real potential. You can see something's missing, or rather, some things. Can we trust this offense that couldn't score a single touchdown in 6 trips to the red zone? For me, this needs to be resolved now. The next game will be against the Bengals, and if we don't fix our offense, things could get complicated. And it's not just the offense that's concerning. The defense is also far from being the wall we expected. Jonathan Allen and Payne, who were once an imposing duo on the defensive line, aren't showing the necessary consistency. And look, if the defense doesn't get its act together, the game against the Bengals could be even more challenging. Although Cincinnati has a 0-2 record, they lost by very tight scores. And with Joe Burrow leading the offense, they won't make it easy. And worse, wide receiver T. Higgins, who's a real threat, is coming back from injury and should be 100% for Monday Night Football. Our secondary needs to be much more alert if we don't want to be swallowed up by this offense. Now you must be thinking, okay, but what can be changed in this crucial week? Well, that's exactly what we're going to discuss here. We'll detail 3 adjustments the coaching staff needs to make right now in preparation for this crucial game. The first thing I believe needs to change is the approach in the red zone. It's no use getting there several times and coming away with just field goals. We need to convert these opportunities into touchdowns. Be more creative, risk some different plays, and especially give more freedom to Jayden Daniels, our young quarterback, to let it fly. His potential is huge, but there's a lack of courage to let him play freely. Think about it. You're there, in the red zone, several times during the game, and what happens? Field goal, field goal. We're not going far just kicking the ball. This needs to change, and fast. I believe the coaching staff has to work better on the playbook and put in more explosive plays that take the opposing defense out of their comfort zone. And of course, use our running game more, which is often left aside at the decisive moment. We can't just rely on Seibert to save the day. Now, the second point I want to bring up is about the defense. Our defensive line, which was once the pride of this team, is inconsistent. We need to see Allen and Payne dominating the trenches again. The pressure on the opposing quarterback needs to be constant, especially against Joe Burrow, who is one of the smartest QBs in the league. If they give him time in the pocket, he'll tear our secondary apart. And about that, I don't even need to say much, right? Our secondary has been struggling, and it won't be easy to contain them with Higgins and Chase running free. For the defense to function as it should, one solution I see would be to give more space for players like Frankie Louvu and Jeremy Chin to shine. We've signed some heavy hitters to strengthen this side of the ball, but what's missing is a more cohesive plan that really exploits their potential. It's frustrating to see so much talent being underutilized. We know these guys can wreak havoc, but it seems they haven't found the ideal positioning yet. Is it time for the coaching staff to review this? The third change, and perhaps one of the most urgent, involves offensive aggressiveness. I know Jayden Daniels is a rookie, but how long are we going to hold him back? Of course, the transition to the NFL can be tough, but the time has come to see what he's really capable of. In these first 2 games, the impression is that the coaching staff is afraid to let him truly command the offense. Hiding behind conservative plays won't take us far, especially against a team like the Bengals who can score at any moment. And look, I understand that letting a rookie loose can be risky, but if we don't do it now, when will we? Jayden has all the tools to be a great quarterback, and sooner or later he's going to have to show that on the field. Maybe the week against the Bengals is the perfect opportunity. Cincinnati's defense isn't invincible, and if we're bold on offense, we have a chance to surprise them. Having said all that, the reality is that the situation isn't simple, but it's not impossible either. We have good pieces both on offense and defense. The problem is that they're not yet working in harmony. If these changes are made now, we have a real chance to turn the season around and fight for something bigger. But time is running out, and if we don't react soon, it might be too late. The Commanders are among the 3 worst teams in the league when it comes to quarterback pressure, with less than 3 sacks. That's right. The pass rushing unit, which used to be one of the strengths of our defense, simply hasn't been working. Of course, after trading Montez Sweat and Chase Young, we knew the team would need time to adjust. But is this taking longer than necessary? For those following the team closely, concern has started to set in. After all, without an effective pass rush, opponents have had an easy time against our defense. If we take away Clelin Ferrell's 2 sacks, who unfortunately is out for Week 3 due to injury, guess what? No one else has gotten a sack. This is very worrying. Opponents have already noticed that the Commanders are weak on the edges and have focused all their blocking on our interior monsters, Jonathan Allen and Payne. Both are being double-teamed on practically every play. And let's face it, no lineman can handle being doubled like that for an entire game, right? The situation is critical, and if we don't change quickly, things will only get worse. This is where our defensive coordinator, Joe Witt Jr., comes in. He needs to start being more creative, folks. It's not enough to just rely on the natural talent of the players. We have options on the roster. Jeremy Chin, for example, could be a key piece if he's more involved in the plays. And why not move Jonathan Allen outside in some situations? This would really confuse the opposing offensive line. Also, it's time to give more snaps to Jamin Davis. The kid has potential and could be the difference maker we need to put pressure on the opposing QB. Now listen to what I'm about to say. If we can't generate pressure, the rest of the defense will suffer even more. Our secondary is already facing difficulties, and it's likely to get worse if opposing quarterbacks have all the time in the world to throw. Football is often about betting on the right moment. If the pass rush starts working again, it relieves the rest of the team, and the defense's confidence increases. But the way things are, we're going to hand over easy wins to teams like the Cincinnati Bengals, who are just waiting for a chance to get back to winning. And what about Joe Witt Jr.? The guy was brought in specifically to fix our defense, which was one of the worst in the league. The expectation was that he'd come in and solve everything, but so far, we haven't seen that happen. What's missing? Will he be able to turn things around? Honestly, I believe there's still time for things to improve, but he'll need to make brave decisions. The future of our defense may well depend on the changes he makes now, because if things continue as they are, there's no way to sustain this pressure on the defensive line. Now let's talk about another point that's keeping fans up at night: team discipline. Penalties, especially in the red zone, are ruining our chances of scoring touchdowns. Sure, we managed to get past the New York Giants, but let's be honest, folks. This kind of mistake will cost us dearly against stronger opponents like the Bengals. 5 false start penalties in one game? That's unacceptable. These penalties basically nullified 15 points that were practically guaranteed. If it weren't for these errors, the victory would have been much more comfortable. And here, my friends, there's no excuse. This is a failure of the coaching staff. Players need to be more focused, and coaches need to demand that. The good news is that now everyone is aware of this problem. The big question is, how will the team respond? What will head coach Dan Quinn do to fix this mess? If he can sort this out, we might see a transformation in the team. And I'll tell you something, if discipline improves, this team has the potential to surprise a lot of people this season. Now please, let's not always count on our kicker saving the day. He's been perfect in recent games, but it's hard to maintain that level all the time. We need to be more efficient in the red zone. As leader Jonathan Allen has said many times, it's better to learn lessons in victory than in defeat. And good teams do that. But the truth is that Washington is still far from being a good team. What's holding us back are these execution failures. If we can solve this, who knows, we might even snag a playoff spot. Look, for a team that's in the top 10 in yards per game after 2 weeks, expectations were different. We're accumulating yards, but we're not turning that into points. And this directly relates to discipline in the red zone. If the offensive line doesn't improve in this aspect, forget any playoff dreams. This is the kind of detail that will decide the future of our season. And in the end, this responsibility will fall on the shoulders of our quarterback, Jayden Daniels. He needs the confidence to lead this team, but he'll only get that if the offensive line provides the necessary support. Now, a question that won't go away. If the pass rush doesn't improve and discipline remains a problem, what will become of our Commanders in 2024? Is there still time to turn things around? Or are we doomed to another disappointing season? Folks, comment below with what you think. I want to know your opinion. Let's discuss in the comments because this topic is serious and could define our future. And of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, what are you waiting for? Come be part of this passionate Washington Commanders community.